Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco, Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. It's just Marco here once again, and I am here today to review Hell's Kitchen Season 22, Episode 3. Now, it starts off with a cheerleading challenge, and in this one, I thought that it was interesting because the chefs had to choose the chef on the opposing team that they wanted to go up against, and then these cheerleaders revealed what dish that they would make, and it was like a mysterious thing where they just picked based on a letter for, Hell's Kitchen. So they all picked different letters, and then they revealed that they were certain dishes. So I thought it was also interesting, though, because Jason chose to go up against the female Jason, which, as we know, is Chef Carmen. And I thought that was pretty funny, that he naturally wanted to choose the other biggest, not jackass, but just biggest ego in the kitchen. And I thought that's a perfect match, not romantically, but, just opponent-wise. It's kind of like the Joker, deciding that he would want to go up against, the Green Goblin. That would be a perfect comparison. Probably Carmen is the Joker, and then Jason is the Green Goblin. The woman with 6 kids, she mentions that again, but it makes sense. We really got onto the woman with 6 kids on MasterChef for mentioning that she had 6 kids over and over and over again, and it was just so annoying and stupid. But in this case, she actually made sense, but, we will see what she made later. And then Melissa's Mediterranean burger looked delicious. She is Mrs. Lamb. And she seems to be really good. She's one of the top chefs for sure. And the Cuban guy smothered his burger in sauce, but it did taste good. They both got a point. Jason made salty wings with a vinegar sauce, which, it looked good, but just hearing that, you'd have salty wings with a vinegar sauce, that did not sound good to me. There were, weeks that I went by with drinking apple cider vinegar in the morning on an empty stomach, and I was trying to do it for health reasons, and it was just the worst thing ever. The taste of vinegar, I'll never think of vinegar as good again ever. Even if it's good on French fries or something, or chips, I'll never like vinegar again the way that I did after drinking vinegar every morning like that. And he just said that they were extremely salty. And Carmen, on the other hand, she made delicious looking wings with a nice looking sauce, like a green sauce. But of course, Jason has to say, no regrets, I loved everything about that dish. Yeah, and I bet you did, because it was made by you. Right, Chef Jason? And then one of the worst dishes of the night was the penne meatball dish. This girl was tasked with making spaghetti, and she instead made penne with meatballs. And it looked like a nice dish, to have, on a weekday night, maybe on a rainy day like today, throw in some penne with meatballa and have that. That looked good, but that's not spaghetti, ma'am. And so I thought that was an epic fail. Sandra's Philly cheesesteak looked really delicious too. And a lot of these dishes, by the way, got both chefs points, which I thought was pretty interesting. There were a few ones that didn't, and those were really telling. With Jason, he didn't get a point, obviously. The guy going up against Sammy, he had to make fried chicken, and originally it was undercooked, and luckily he managed to scrape by and cook his chicken. And I was like, oh, thank God, because you're going up against Sammy and you're undercooking your chicken. That's the last nail in the coffin. And then Sammy's chicken, of course, was amazing looking. It definitely looked like the best fried chicken I've ever seen. And then Matthias's pizza was good enough to make sort of like a mini comeback, temporary comeback. And Matthias, this was one challenge where it was kind of like with a MasterChef where Madame Donut, she got to make donuts one episode, and so like she did really well at it, obviously, and she got to stay. And this was like the same type of thing where, Matthias, he says that he's 80% pizza and he cooks pizza all the time. And so I felt like this was like an easy win for him to make pizza, which, it was just luck. And, at least he got this one thing, at least he got this one nice thing. And so, because he later on, it all goes south. It all goes... No. I shouldn't say south. It all goes very north, to the North Pole. The mom of 6, she made a pizza dip with crust dippers. Very bizarre. And I thought that was one of the worst dishes. I mean, that was stupid. It was terrible. What a terrible idea. I mean, you're tasked with making pizza, not making an invention of pizza, like not making like a pizza-inspired dish. And I feel like if I was there, which I'd never be there ever because I'm not Hell's Kitchen material, and I was tasked with making pizza, I would make a fucking pizza. Like, no matter what. Even if I had a great idea, like, oh, maybe pizza cake would be really good. Like a cake made out of pizzas. Ooh, pretentious. But I would not make that fucking pizza cake because that's just too weird. And you're tasked with making pizza. Make the damn pizza. You get a crust. I mean, you get the dough, you put the sauce, you put the cheese, you put the toppings, and you stick that bitch in the oven. You do not make pizza dip with crust dippers. And Danya, she really had a strong comeback this episode. I mean, I was impressed with her. I thought she did a terrific job. She got a point immediately with her lobster roll, too. So yeah, the penne and pizza dip were the worst dishes. I would probably say the worst dish was the pizza dip because that was just completely out of left field. Weird. Like that fucking Snow White actress, the token Snow White actress, weird. I might actually review that movie just so that I can say, weird. Snow White was weird. The best dish, now this one was surprising. The best dish of the night was Chef Carmen's wings. Now, Chef Carmen, please forgive me for last week with my insensitive, disgusting, disrespectful comments about you and my mean remarks about you having mental gymnastics. That's a good thing because it shows that you can think, and it shows that you have a brain, and that all the connections work and they all go like really fast, and you're smarties. So please forgive me and make me those wings, because those wings looked really, really good. And I'm not even a big wings fan. So the men's team won, which was really shocking. They got to go parasailing and have a great dinner in Santa Barbara. Now, honestly, if I was on this show, I would not like that, because I do not like heights. And from what I saw, it dealt with heights. And I would have been like, you know what, Melissa? Because, okay, I will also explain. Women have to stay back and make bread like it's like the 1700s. I thought that that was a great punishment idea for sure. And I really think, too, if you think about it, I think that Chef Gordon made up that challenge because he thought that the men's team was going to lose. Because, it's a very, like, strength-based challenge, and, the men with their big arms, it seems like something that, it seemed like such a terrible nightmare for these women to have to do this, because a lot of them, I don't think that they, it takes a lot of strength and power to do this bread making stuff. It seemed like it looked like really, really like not fun. And so I think that he designed the challenge thinking the men's team would lose the challenge. And Melissa, she said fuck you to the girls, as I said that she would do, because last week, they totally proved that they're not a team, which, they're still not. And she decides to go with the guys, and then Jason has to stay back and make the bread, which I was really glad about, because I couldn't wait to see him interact with the women's team. But I gotta be honest too, like, I would have rather stayed back too, because I don't like heights, and if I stay back, there is a possibility that Sammy would make me something. Like, even after making all this bread, like, it's possible if I asked very nicely that she would make like a, I don't know, like, what's a very simple thing, like a PB&J. Like, I make PB&J almost every day. I made PB&J today, and I get sick and tired of making PB&J, and I wonder too, what would the all-powerful Sammy, what would she do with the PB&J? What type of California spin would she put on a peanut butter and jelly? So anyway, Sammy was suffering while making the bread. She was really, really in serious pain. And then Jason starts trying to tell the girls what to do. And they all just stand there and make faces at him. It's really funny. It's definitely a highlight of the show so far. And then he makes another cringe joke. He says, "Do you need help kneading? Because I'm needy." In a weird way, though, I gotta admit that I kind of like Jason now, because it just seems like nobody really likes him, and so he's really not like, he's not bullying people, really. Like, he's not like other jackass chefs in past seasons, like Scott Lee and, the men's team when they bullied Trev in that one season. I really didn't like that. And, he's just full of himself. And so, like, I kind of like him now. And I like Carmen, too, because I want her wings. I want Carmen's wings real bad. I mean, what would you guys pay for those wings? Because I would pay like, I would pay like $10. I mean, plus 10, I would pay $20. Matthias, he undercooks the lobster as his first move of the service, and then he also undercooks it a second time. And I would like to point out too that this is the third episode in a row that lobster has been raw for the first thing in the service. I think that that's very telling, and I wonder if next year that Gordon might adjust the menu a little bit and like not have the lobster or something, because like it seems like lobster is troublesome for these people. If I were Chef Gordon, I would probably have them do a lobster challenge, so that it would like force them to have to cook lobster for a challenge, and like, I don't know, practice at least, like, because they really need to learn how to cook lobster on this show. I don't even like lobster. I prefer crab. I don't even like lobster at all. Like, we got lobster at Red Lobster when we celebrated 300 subscribers, and it just was not good. And then, like, Safi, she celebrated a birthday at Red Lobster. I had a full lobster that was alive in the tank, and I didn't like that either, honestly. Like, I thought, really? This is what everyone is, like, really, like, excited about? Like, this? Like, I much prefer crab. So I really hoped that Mateus was going home because, as Gordon said, he was on thin ice, paper thin, less than paper thin. And I knew as soon as he made these mistakes too, if you make mistakes when you're on thin ice, even like if they're like a few and far between, or they're just something very little, you're on thin ice. There's a reason why people say that saying. They don't just say it because it sounds good and it sounds fun to say. They say it because it means something. It means that when you're on thin ice and you make a mistake or two, you are screwed. Sammy overcooked the halibut. It looked kind of charred and burnt a little tiny bit. The VIP girl guest would not eat it. She said, I would never eat that. You know what, though? I would eat it. I would have eaten that whole thing. I don't mind. It just got a little char on it. I mean, I gotta be honest, too. Like, guys, like, did you really think that the halibut looked that bad? I mean, I know that I have a bias towards Sammy because she's the best chef there so far, but did it really look that bad? I would have just scraped the stuff off and then sent it up there. Like, it didn't look that terrible. Jason, he had this little moment in the episode where he tried doing his own method for doing cold butter on the steaks instead of basting the steaks with butter in the pan. And Chef Gordon got really mad at that. And he's like, look, it's either my way or the highway. And I really like, too, like the advertisement for this episode because it was misleading. But at least it actually used stuff that happened in the episode to concoct like a narrative rather than being like, oh, look, Gordon puts out a fire in a pan and he gets taken away in an ambulance. Like, that was such a complete letdown that didn't happen. And so I much preferred this week where it's like Jason he still got in trouble for his big ego. And then Danya bounced back, fortunately. I was really happy about that. That was also a highlight of this episode. The men's team had raw lamb. That was from the Irish guy. I'm not a fan of him. Gordon gives a talking to Silent Sandra, and that is going to be her nickname from here on out. Silent Sandra. And she starts to cry, and I thought, oh, that's terrible. Another MasterChef contestant. And she's like, look, I'm getting used to the intensity here. I'm not used to this environment, and none of them are really. And except for probably Chef Jason, I guess, which I don't know about that, but I felt bad for her because she seemed like she was trying. And so then she ended up doing pretty good at the end. Both teams did not get kicked out, which was very nice to see too. I definitely would have been really like upset if both teams got kicked out again. Neither of them did. And the women's team, they obviously won. I mean, come on. It wasn't even a contest. Like, and you can tell by the recap kind of thing too. Like, did I mention, like, barely any mistakes for the women, or if any, like, that's how you can tell, like, which team should win or lose. And I think that Gordon, when he decides which team loses, like, he probably, gets out his little notepad and then writes down men's team, women's team, mistake, mistake, mistake. And then you can just do it that way. Like, that, to me, like, easily the men's team did not do as well. And I would also say, too, that it's pretty commonplace in Hell's Kitchen episodes, it seems, where the team that gets the celebration or gets the reward, it seems like they get a little bit too, like, I don't know, like, confident. And so then they kind of, like, it makes them let their guards down, and it makes them, like, make mistakes later on in the evening. Because I've seen that a lot in these Hell's Kitchen seasons, at least from what I've seen. And then the Irish guy did not want to go up for elimination because of his raw lamb. And he said specifically because he fixed his mistake. And I was sitting there thinking, like, wait, everyone else fixed their mistakes too. So I don't even know why that is coming into question here, like, or is coming into play. Like, you fixed your mistake? Like, so what? Everyone else did. Matthias did. Jason didn't even really make a mistake, and he fixed himself. He got in line like the little bitch he really is. You know, like, come on. I thought that was bitch boy behavior, honestly. Like, he did not want to go up, and he's like, I am not going up. I'm not going up. And I don't understand this thing, too, of, like, on the men's team for 3 episodes, you have had it to where, like, somebody who deserves to go up for elimination is like, I am not going up because I didn't do anything wrong. And then the men, like, don't vote for that person. Like, and I gotta be honest, too, like, even if the Irish guy didn't do something that bad, just because he said, I'm not going up, I would have voted for him based on that, because it's like, okay, you're really, really, like, fighting hard here, and it clearly shows that, look, you made a mistake. Just because you go up there doesn't mean he's going to send you home, Jason. And so, like, yeah, Matthias and Jason get nominated, and I was really glad that Jason did not get sent home. And Gordon, Chef Gordon, he once again asked, why that guy? Why Jason? Why is he nominated? And so every time that he sees someone that is not fairly put up and nominated, he always asks why. Because it's like, you know, why? That's bullshit. You know, Jason did not deserve to be up there. And, you know, just because you don't like him, you know, he doesn't deserve to be up there. So, but Matthias ends up going home, obviously, because he was on thin ice, and he fucked up twice, and Gordon knew who was naughty or nice. I don't know, that doesn't make any sense. So anyways, I would give this episode an A-. I really enjoyed it a lot. It's definitely the best thing that I've watched all week, you know, and I gotta say, too, I really enjoy reviewing, like, these reality shows, like these, well, not really, like, I guess the cooking shows or something, like, but I really enjoy reviewing MasterChef and Hell's Kitchen, and so I'm glad that I decided to review this show. It was not a mistake. So please like this video, comment, and tell me what you thought of the episode. Would you eat Sammy's charred halibut? Or because if you don't want it, I'll take seconds, baby. And okay, that didn't sound good at all. And then please subscribe to this channel if you'd like to see more Hell's Kitchen reviews. Goodbye, everybody. See you soon.